consultant and about the end users. We are going to be consultant. We are going to, after completion of this course, we will try for the consultant job, not end users. Okay. End user does not require any training. So if you want to try for the end user job, so your accounting knowledge is enough, because after joining in any company, they give you some training for the specific transaction code related. But whereas to be work as a consultant, you must and you should know the functionality of the SAP. Okay, and also you would also understand SAP is integrated with many modules. Okay, so the moment when we say that SAP it is not for SAP finance and controlling, it is not for material management, it is not only for sales and distribution. N number of modules it is integrated. Okay, so where the particular where so the specific and the specific area of the module, so where we supposed to work. Let's say, as we discussed yesterday, okay, so the material management or sales and distribution or finance and controlling, so every functional module it has its own set of the people. Okay, so if SAP is already in exist or in live, okay, where we support for day-to-day issues which are being raised by the business users. Whereas, let's say if any organization they wanted to implement before SAP, they might have been using another ERP or small ERPs. Let's say Tally they are using for day-to-day transactions. Now they decided to implement SAP in their organizations. Okay, so to whom they reach? They reach definitely IT companies. Okay, IT companies, among different IT companies, they have their own quotations. It's a depend on the quotation who finalized. Okay, so they start to do the implement the SAP. Okay, IT companies it has its own team. Okay, it has its own team from the finance and controlling, from the material management, whatever the modules which they wanted to implement. Okay, so altogether they would be formed as a team and they start to do the implementation. Okay, that's how the existing system, that's how the you know uh, for new SAP implementation. Okay, so today, and also we just recollect the landscape which we discussed yesterday. That's about development system. So where we will do the configurations, and quality system. So where we will do the testing. So how the changes will be moved? We will import the changes from development system to the quality system in order to do the testing. So where consultants, nothing but functional consultant we are. So naming ourselves as a functional consultant, because where you know the functioning of the SAP in backend. Okay, functional consultant will do the testing as well. The users, business users also will do the testing in quality system. Okay, so once the changes or as expected by the business and they give the sign-ups, so then we move the changes from the development system to the production system. How the changes will be moved also we understand in yesterday class. Okay, so today little bit we will talk about the kind of the projects. Okay, we discussed about implementation and we just discussed about existing system, that is SAP is already in live, and SAP where we are going to implement. We have the different types of the projects. Okay, namely types of the SAP projects. Okay, so we have implementation projects, then support projects, then rollouts projects, then upgradation projects. So majorly, these are the projects where we are going to work after getting the job. Okay. These are the projects. I would say that, let's say you got the job after the training is completed. The first you will think which project you are going to be tagged or assigned. So the types of the projects. Just to have some overview on the projects. Implementation projects, nothing but, so try to understand the terminology. This is completely technical. Implementation project, nothing but where we are going to implement the SAP ERP. Okay, SAP ERP in the business legacy system. Okay, it's a completely new. Okay, so as we discussed yesterday, okay, till last year, so they wanted to implement the SAP because it's not one day project. Minimum implementation it will take 6 months to 1 year. It's a depend on the size of the client or operations of the business. If the business is a smaller company, they have the operations only within the India, they have 1 or 2 company codes or 1 company code. In that case, it will take 6 months to 1 year to implement the SAP in any client. Okay, so the duration of the implementation projects, duration of the implementation of the project, ideally for 6 months to 1 minute, guys. Sorry, guys. So, duration of the implementation of the project, ideally for 6 months to 1 year. More than 1 year also. Okay, it depends on the size of the business. It depends the size of the business. Okay. So as I said, so the entity is only limited to the specific country. So implementing the SAP, because where they have only one company code, their operations are limited to the specific country. So where it is, compared to other, let's take General Electronics, let's take Reliance Industries, let's take any pharma of any India, let's say Reddy's Laboratories or Sun Pharma or Cipla. So these companies are operating globally. Their operations are, they're having the operations across the global. So to be implement SAP in those organizations, it will take minimum 1 year to 2 years. That too, they have to decide whether they wanted to implement for all company codes or for globally, or initially would they wanted to implement only in few company codes. Okay, it's a depends on the business requirement. At one go they wanted to implement SAP for all company codes, or for 30% or 50% of the company codes. Let's say they are having the 50 company codes initially in first live or in first phase, okay, or in first sprint they wanted to implement only for 10 company codes. If that is the case, so they will extend the project minimum 2 to 3 years. If you take General Electronics, they do have the company codes more than 1,000 company codes across the global. So is it possible to implement at one go for all countries where they are being operated? No, it's not possible. Okay, so here size of the business and also in how many phases they wanted to implement the SAP. So that's all about here implementation project. What we need to understand, newly implementing the SAP in the organizations called as a implementation project. Okay, so whereas now we will talk about support project. So that means after let's say you got a job from the Infosys or TCS. Okay, so where you are supposed to, it's a depend on the requirement. Let's say if we have 50 projects, or 50 projects, there are about 40 projects are the support project, 10 projects are the implementation project. Based on your knowledge, where you are going to fit, so the resource managers will deploy you, they deploy you in the specific project based on your knowledge and skill, based on your previous experience, which project you are going to work. Okay, let's talk about support project. Here, so implementation project, what we will do? Okay, so as I said, every SAP it is integrated with the n number of modules. Let's say as FICO consultant, you are going to work. You are going to work in finance and controlling module. Okay, the responsibilities of you of you is where you will do the configurations, and document them, and the same will provide knowledge transfer to business users. Okay, so people will ask you, what is the roles and responsibilities of the implementation projects? In simple way you can tell, where it's after understanding the business process, because before you are going to start the configuration, this again we will discuss at the end of the course. Okay. So what we are supposed to, to what extent we have to tell implementation responsibilities, what all the configurations or test scenarios we are supposed to frame as part of the implementation projects. This again we are going to discuss at the end of the course, just to have some overview on the type of the projects. Discussing about types of the projects. Okay, so we will discuss again at the end of the course project classes, where we will discuss in detail the roles and responsibilities of the implementation projects. Okay, so now support project. Support project. What is a support project? What is the support project? Okay, so normally the name convention we can also call it as, application maintenance and support, AMS, application maintenance and support. So in short we call it as a AMS, application maintenance and support. Okay, here support project means, let's say we have implemented SAP. Okay, so support project nothing but in day-to-day operations where consultant is going to support. Okay, let's say Reliance Industries or in live from the 2022 in SAP. Okay, so they have implemented SAP. Now who is going to provide the service? Let's say you bought the any vehicle, okay, two-wheeler or four-wheeler. So we have a number of service centers. When you get the if you want any service, or if your vehicle gets any repair, or for every monthly where you are going to give the service. Okay, so because the service centers who provide the service and who is to monitor when you go to the service point and service center where you will hand over the vehicle, and they will do the service. Similarly, after SAP is being implemented, so for day-to-day operations where users will get issues, yesterday we discussed about by taking one example where the user is not able to create the purchase order because he does not know what it is causing stopping to create the purchase order. In that case, what users will do? Users will create the request. What I'll say that support projects nothing but for day-to-day operations after being implemented SAP. So there is another team. Maybe let's say implementation has been done by the Accenture. Now to give the support again, there they would have a number of quotations. Again, there is a quotation, there is a bid among the different IT companies. Now this time, so Accenture implemented SAP. Accenture implemented SAP. Now to support, who is coming and give the support? Again, they'll have their bids. Okay. So now Capgemini, Capgemini is going to give the support. Okay. Every day, because every day n number of transactions, so they used to record in SAP. SAP is in live now. So SAP business users are using to record the transactions. Let's say from the finance module, so where sales or the purchase takes place, or where they are selling the products to the customers, in turn customers are paying the money to the company, or business is procuring the materials. Okay, so all transactions are now being recorded and is going to be reported in SAP. So let's say some users, okay, where they are encountering the issues or where the reports are not addressing their current requirements. So who is going to support? Again, application maintenance support team, AMS team. Okay, so here it called as a for day-to-day live issues. So now Capgemini, who is providing the support team. Support. Okay, now, so support team responsibility is, so to look at the request which are being created by the business users. Okay, so application maintenance support, nothing but, okay, where the group of the consultants, let's say we have the finance team, MM team, and SD team. So ABAP team and production team. Production and planning team. Basis team. Okay. Altogether, so Capgemini providing this group of the people to the Reliance Industries to provide the service, okay, to the regular activities. Okay, this altogether, what I would say that support team. Okay, so these are all teams called as a support team. Support team who provides okay, service, okay, or analysis or assistance to the business users okay, on day-to-day activities. If any issues arises in SAP. Okay. Support project nothing but after implementation, after the SAP is being implemented, maybe it could be for 6 years or how long they quoted for this project. Maybe 3 years, 4 years or 5 years. It depends where they have quoted this project. This is what we need to understand. Support is also one kind of project. Okay, so where you are going to, let's say, as I said, if we had 50 projects, now 40 projects they have the support projects. All clients which they are having, SAP is already being implemented. Now we are going to deploy in the support project. Okay, so once you are deployed in the support project, what we need to understand? We need to understand their landscape. Okay, we need to understand the size of the team where you are going to work. Okay, all the teams, because for all these teams there is a project manager. Finance team, MM team, SD team, ABAP team, and n number of teams. We had one project manager. So each team it has its own team leader. Okay, so you are supposed to report your lead, and your lead is going to be report to your project manager. So here the roles and responsibility of the support consultant is, whenever we get the incidents or requests from the business users, we have to analyze, we have to provide the assistance to the users. These are called as support projects. Okay. Whereas another projects, rollout projects. So just now we discussed. Okay, so let's say let's discuss about General Electronics. It's a MNC, US based out company, General Electronics. Okay. So General Electronics having 1,000 subsidiaries, so 1,000 affiliated companies across the global. Now they decided to implement the SAP. In their business. So since their operations are having the across the global, it's not possible to go at one go to implement the SAP in all 1,000 company codes. What they do? So not possible to implement SAP across the tool. Someone is speaking? Sorry. Not possible to implement SAP across the all company codes at one go. Okay? They decided to implement SAP first in US regions. Okay. They have taken the time. So their time frame is time duration or time frame for implementation. They planned for 1 year. Okay. So successfully they have implemented SAP after 1 year or within the 1 year. Now they would wanted to roll out the SAP other regions as well. Let's say the next term is for India. Let's say India they are having the 25 company codes. Okay. Initially they have implemented SAP in US. Now they are going by the country by country. Okay. Now they wanted to roll out the SAP ERP to the India company codes. Okay. Like that, rolling out the SAP, okay, in different phases. Okay. So by splitting their organization, so that is called as a rollout projects. Okay. Initially they implement in a few company codes. Later on, once SAP is in live, because already they would have been experienced the issues while implementing the SAP. So by learning that issues, they would extend the SAP ERP implementation to other company codes which are being operated in different countries. We are talking about country wise. Normally they would split if the organization size is more than 1,000 company codes, they would split their organization region wise, Asia specific, Europe region, North America. Okay, like that they would go for in different phases to implement the SAP. So rollout project nothing but rollouts. Okay, so nothing but implementing the SAP in different phases. Okay, or else this can also understand in different way. Rollout projects. Let's say so General Electronics is in live, SAP is in live. So they have acquired few more companies. So those companies are not in SAP. Now they would wanted to roll out the SAP ERP to other acquired companies as well. Okay, so the case could be anything. Maybe if initially SAP is new to the general electronics, they would split their organization and they would go by in different phases or different sprints. Or already GE is in SAP and now they have acquired few more companies. Okay, so to that companies they wanted to extend the SAP ERP. They wanted to implement the SAP. So that implementing the SAP is other company codes is also called as a rollout project. Okay, so now we are bit clear. Rollout nothing but extending the SAP ERP to other company codes which does not have the SAP as of today, and support project nothing but SAP is already implemented for day-to-day operations issues which are encountering by the users, where consultant will support is called as application maintenance support. So whereas implementation project nothing but where you are implementing the SAP newly, okay, that is called as a implementation. Whereas upgradation, so this is very rare we used to get. Of course, we also have the migration projects. Okay, so upgradation and migration projects are same. Okay, so upgradation projects. Upgradation projects. Okay, so upgradation project nothing but SAP keep on releasing the new versions to the existing SAP ERP. Okay, let's say we are in 2022 or 2023. Okay, so we have some limitations in finance and controlling. Okay, we have some limitations. Okay, SAP has overcome that limitations. We will discuss more about upgradation projects later, but just to give you upgradation projects nothing but add-ons. Whenever SAP has implemented or added new versions to the existing system, so where we are going to upgrade the project by implementing the SAP nodes or by patching the nodes. Okay, so those projects called as normally these upgradation projects, ideally the time frame of the upgradation project 3 to 5 months. Okay, you are not going to touch, you are not going to implement SAP, or you are not going to roll out the SAP, just you are patching or you are, so since SAP has provided new versions to the existing system, we are going to implement the new versions. Okay, very rare. So this normally experts will work in this upgradation project, because until unless you know what new changes that have been incorporated by the SAP, you are not going to work in upgradation projects. Okay, so most of the cases we get an opportunity from implementation, support projects and rollout projects, and development and enhancement projects also there. It's a part of the AMS, application maintenance support project or implementation. Okay, so this is all about types of the projects. Okay, so support implementation you used to hear n number of times. Once you are joined in any company, so where you will see the terminology, your resource manager will say that you are tagged on so on support project, you are tagged on so on implementation project or the rollout project. Okay, so 70% of the cases where you are going to work in support or implementation or rollout projects. Okay, this is about types of the projects. Any questions from anyone? All right. So just we will discuss this all the types of the projects again at the end of the course and project classes. Okay. So to be eligible or to be what I would say that qualify for any interviews, you must have to keep one implementation project, one support project at least in your CV. One should see the implementation or the support project. Otherwise, your CV will not be screened. Okay, that's how we are going to prepare the CV as well. So that is the reason we are just discussing about and we are trying to understand what is the implementation, what is the support. All right. Any questions from anyone? Feel free to raise your voice.
Hello.
Yes, madam.
Rollout project means it will be only other, to say branches or branches.
It's not a branches, it's a new entities. The terminology, what we can say that you are going to rolling out the SAP to new entities. As I said, it could be within the organization, or it could be sometimes where your organization has acquired a number of companies, so they were not into the SAP. Now you are going to, your business has decided to implement the SAP ERP. Okay, what we do, we will take this existing templates because already SAP is in live. Okay, so we will, especially where you will get the, where you will see the changes country to country, tax localization, taxation, or inventory valuation. So wherever we have delta changes, we are going to do the, configurations, okay, accordingly as per the country specific requirements, right? So if you see the taxation, it's a different, it's a differs, like let's take to Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India, or US. So taxation is differs country to country. And the inventory valuations also, because let's say in India you are following the financial year April to March, but whereas in US you are following the financial year Jan to December, or in China let's say you are following to July to June. Okay, so that's how financial year changes. Similarly, accounting principles. Okay, in India you are following the Indian accounting standards, but whereas in US accounting principles, or in other countries they are following the international financial reporting standards. Okay, wherever it is differs, so where we will follow the localization rules while implementing the SAP. Okay, that is called as a rollout projects.
We can keep in CV, right?
Sorry, madam, can you please speak loudly?
Rollout project we can keep in CV, right?
Yes, we can keep all the types of the projects, because unless you had strong exposure in that area. Let's say when I say the support projects, right, support project where you can, exhibit or project yourself strongly, because you say that I've been working in the support project for the last 2 years. So where we fixed a number of incidents, and I worked in high priority incidents, critical incidents, everything you can project yourself, right? That's a support project. Whereas implementation project, until you know in and out of the, finance and controlling module, of course, even 60% if you could able to deliver the implementation or configurations or the scenarios where we will work or you have worked. So you will keep the implementation also, because the moment interviewer will see the, implementation support projects or rollouts, they would, pose you a number of questions. You must be in a position to shoot them. So that's the reason upgradation project we don't need to keep, but rollouts and support and implementation projects we can keep in our CV. So as I said, to qualify for any interview, so nowadays every company is asking minimum 2 implementations and support projects. Okay, so those candidates are screened for the interviews. So as I said, when you keep the implementation and support projects, you should be strong, whatever you have mentioned in your CV. But to your question, yes, we can keep the rollout projects. Not only rollouts, you can also keep the upgradation projects also, if at all you are good to explain what you did in upgradation project. All right. Any other questions from anyone? It's a purely like, how much you are good, the projects where you are going to keep. But anyway, I would assist you to prepare the CV, what projects we are supposed to keep, and what extent we need to answer at the end of the course. Okay, so we will start the project classes before 1 month to be complete our course. Okay, so that you can try, parallelly you can attend the interview calls as well. Okay, so that's, don't worry. So we'll assist you how to prepare, what kind of the questions we will get in interviews, to what extent we need to answer to avoid the cross questions. We'll assist you in all the areas. Okay. Hello guys, from anyone, any questions?
No.
Enterprise structure. Now next we are going to discuss about enterprise structure. So, as we discussed, SAP is integrated with n number of modules. Okay, so we have been trying to understand few modules. Okay, of which FICO, our module in which we are going to be trained, and material management, sales and distribution. So one should be aware about all these modules, because since SAP is integrated, we have to understand where each module, how it is integrated with each other. Let's say if I say that FICO module, how FICO, finance and controlling module, is going to be integrated with material management, how it is going to be integrated with sales and distribution module, or the production planning and other modules. And also we need to understand organizational elements, okay, that we call as a enterprise structure. Okay, enterprise structure nothing but organizational structure. Okay, so we will understand first FICO, thereafter we will understand material management just for knowledge purpose, and SD module and logistics module. Okay, so simple to say, in simple terminology to understand, if you observe any house where you will see assembly hall, kitchen, washing room, and also a number of like washrooms. Okay, why we have separated every portion, each portion in a well equipped house? Because it has its own functionality. Or storeroom, let's say if you talk about kitchen, where all kitchen related things will be there in the kitchen room. Let's say storeroom where you will keep all the materials or the inventory which is required for our day-to-day consumptions. Or where you will see the assembly hall. So there are only specific items only will be assembled at or stored, or we can see at assembly hall. Similarly in SAP also, okay, in finance and controlling module and other module, okay, you must have to integrate. So when you integrate all the things, then only, okay, your house will say that well furnished, right? So on what basis you are going to say that house is well fully furnished or semi furnished or something like that? You are going to say that when it is equipped with all the things in well versed manner, in well established manner. Okay, then only you would say that house is well equipped or well furnished. Similarly, while you are going to implement the SAPs also, it has to be integrated with all the modules. Within the module also it has to be integrated. Okay, let's say you are having the 1,000 company codes. Okay, as I said, General Electronics is having the 1,000 company codes. Now let's say every country has its own legal entity. Let's say General Electronics India, General Electronics China. So as per their local requirement or country specific requirements, they used to file their financial statements, balance sheet and income statement. For every quarter they used to file and they used to submit their financial statement to the respective country specific regulators. Now the requirement now comes to you. So your General Electronics wanted to file the group reports for all the 1,000 company codes. They wanted to prepare consolidated financial statements. How do they prepare? Because somewhere you must have to integrate with all the company codes so that you would pull all the information or all the reports as to prepare the P&L and balance sheet. Okay, so that is nothing but integration. Let's dig into the same discussion. You are having the company code in India, General Electronics having the company code in India, and they do have 4 profit centers. Okay, in India, General Electronics having the 4 product lines. Each product line they define as a profit center. Okay, so for each profit center wise, they wanted to prepare the financial statements. Codes, the transactions are being reported or recorded at company code by specifying the profit centers. Okay, at each data where the user is posted. Okay, so if the business would like to pull the financial or business would like to prepare the financial statement at profit center level, it is possible. And as well, if they wanted to prepare the financial statements at the end, what we need to do at entity level, we need to prepare the financial statements. Company code, it is the legal entity which is registered. Within the company code, if the business would like to build the financial statements, so they can construct the financial statements. At company code it is possible, and for group also it is possible. In order to address all these requirements, we must be successful in enterprise structure. The structuring of any organization, the successful implementation of the SAP is lies or it depends on the successful understanding the enterprise structure, successful framing of the enterprise structure. Okay, so that is called every module. It has its own enterprise structure. If we talk about material management, so material management organizational elements majorly would say that plants and storage locations and purchase organizations. Similarly, when you talk about sales and distribution module, sales organizations, divisions and distribution channels. Whereas if you talk about finance and controlling module, okay, because the purpose of the finance and controlling module, as we discussed in first class, finance module nothing but for external reporting, where you are successfully filed your financial statements, P&L statements and balance sheet, where you are successfully prepared the profitability reports. Okay, so I would say that successfully we have framed enterprise structure. We need to understand what is the enterprise structure from FICO model perspective. As I said, for material management plan and sales and distribution model sales organization, in finance and controlling module, the first element I would say that company and company codes. On top of that, we will understand operating concern. So organizational structure. Organizational structure. FICO. Finance and controlling. Okay. So first we'll say that operating concern. Of course, on top of this we have the client. Okay. Operating concern. So then controlling areas. First we'll be depicting the elements. What we need to understand. So then company codes. Okay. So then profit centers. cost centers. So these are the few organizational elements within the finance and controlling module. Organizational elements. So we will discuss about enterprise structure in deep in the next session. Okay. So the successful understanding of the SAP, and initially also I would say that enterprise structure. What is the operating concern? What is the controlling area? Okay. What is the company codes, profit centers, and etc. etc. We will continue in the next session. Okay. So we need to understand in an interview's perspective also, and also please note that whenever I say that, if you are noting down any points, whenever I say that, just keep the side note as an interview perspective. Okay. Enterprise structure. So wherever you go to the interview, so people will ask you what is the FI organizational structure, or what is the FICO organizational structure. Whatever we are going to discuss in next two classes, very important. So once we complete this enterprise structure, we will start the configurations. Okay, whatever we are going to discuss now, we are going to do the configurations. That is the first class where we will touch SAP customizing screens. Okay, so we discussed about today project types. Okay, little bit we have touched about organizational elements. Okay, we will understand first FICO, then MM, thereafter SD and production and planning model. Why we are going to understand other enterprise structures? Because our FICO model is integrated with the other modules as well. Okay, at least we should have some basic knowledge about other modules as well. All right, any questions?
So,
Yes, Chandrababu, speak loudly.
regarding to this organization structure, so below that business area, functional area will also come under this.
Yes.
Okay.
But majorly these are the elements. Okay, in company, you do have business areas and functional areas.
Segment.
Yes. Okay, any questions from anyone? All right, of course, it is a big time to ask you questions, but after some time, once we start the configurations, then so you have to get the doubts and questions. Then only I believe that you are aligned to the classes. Okay, if you don't get the questions, then simply you are doing the practice or simply you are attending the class. You must have to get the doubts and questions. Okay, you have to clarify them in the class. Okay. All right. So thank you everyone. We'll catch up in next session. Okay.
Thank you, bro.